This is the Legion Y7000. So if you guys are not familiar, Legion is Lenovo's gaming brand, and they're doing some really interesting stuff.
It's clean looking. Look at that.
Combine that clean white lighting with the all matte black look, and this is a seriously different gaming laptop.
The fact that this has a 15.6-inch screen and it's as light as it is kind of wild.
Performance is definitely a strong suit with the Y7000. Inside, you'll find the Core i7-8750H. This is the latest generation 8th gen processor. That i7 is backed up by a full NVIDIA GTX 1060 with 6 gigs of RAM.
15-inch full HD display, Harman speakers, and Dolby Home Theater to apparently make the sound insane. They tried to balance, gaming performance and still being able to have a good, practical, portable laptop.
Especially when it comes to playing at 1080p, the 1060 has absolutely no problem.
I'm getting very, very solid frame rates here on this laptop. So to say that this laptop is better than a lot of things that I had before and is capable of running the games that a lot of people are playing today is pretty much an understatement. I'm definitely gonna be bringing this on the road basically everywhere I go.
The Lenovo Legion Y7000 is a seriously dope gaming laptop. Not only does it have plenty of performance for 1080p gaming and streaming, but importantly, not only does it look nice, but it won't break the bank. Definitely worth a look.
ROG has recently invented the exclusive design for the anti-dust cooling system, which can help get rid of dust and other particles to prolong the lifespan and increases the stability of the system. It consists of 2 fans, each with a dedicated dust tunnel. The anti-dust tunnel ejects harmful particles from the system. Centrifugal force pushes dust and other particles along the fan wall, eventually ejecting them via the anti-dust tunnel. Here we have a mock-up to demonstrate how the anti-dust cooling system works. The polystyrene balls represent dust and other particles that are sucked into the fan module. Watch as they are pushed along the fan wall and ejected through the anti-dust tunnel. Let's see how a system without an anti-dust fan works. The polystyrene balls all end up clogging the front of the fins, something which does not happen with the ROG anti-dust design. Warm air goes through ultra-thin fins and goes out of the system via the exhaust, while dust is blown out through the tunnels. The anti-dust cooling system is a cooling masterpiece that improves system stability and extends the lifespan of the laptop.
This is the 2018 HP Omen. 2018 model kicks ass. So the design of this thing is very Omen-y still. It's got the red face and the classic red accents for HP Omen, but the design is a little bit different from before. So the whole chassis is a little bit smaller, it's a little bit more compact, and they've redesigned this whole product. The bottom half of this laptop has an aluminum keyboard deck and a plastic bottom panel, both well made, both quite sturdy. The internals, these are really easy to get into. It's a handful of Phillips screws and you have access to both.
The GL63 has a killer gaming network adapter for great connectivity performance and versatile I/O ports including USB 3.2 Type-C and Type-A, mini DisplayPort, HDMI, and an SD card reader. It also features giant 3-watt speakers and amp plus audio jacks for great sound management. The GL63 comes in various configurations featuring up to an Intel i7-9750H processor and NVIDIA GeForce graphics ranging from the GTX 1660 Ti all the way to the RTX 2060 GPU. This robust hardware is complemented by the Cooler Boost 5 technology. The touchpad has multi-touch controls and is supplemented by a per-key RGB SteelSeries keyboard with lighting control through SteelSeries Engine software. On top is a 15.6-inch Full HD 1080p IPS level panel with configurations up to 144Hz in refresh rate. All of this is encapsulated in a compact design of about 15 by 10 inches, with a height of about 1 inch when closed. The GL63 laptop is also very light, coming in at 4.8 pounds for portability. The GL63 laptop, great for the entry-level gamer.
Hey everyone, I'm Shannon Morse, and today I got my hands on the newly announced Fall 2018 update of the Razer Blade 15. Razer has taken much of their redesign from earlier this year and precisely tuned it to a lovely finish in this new line of laptops. The new Razer Blade 15 comes in 3 different models: Base, Advanced, and a limited edition Mercury White option, all of which come with a premium design and top-notch specs. The model I have here is the base version, and its biggest differences are its solid-state and hard disk drive dual storage, the gigabit Ethernet, which is located on the left side, and the single-zone full-key RGB chroma lighting. Razer was able to include the much-requested Ethernet by increasing the chassis size by 3mm, which also allowed them to improve the specs while keeping the cost down. The Razer Blade 15 base model still has the smallest 15.6-inch gaming laptop footprint, and it comes in at 19.9mm thin. It's built for durability and portability with a CNC aluminum chassis, a 65 watt-hour battery allowing for up to 6 hours of battery life, and it weighs approximately 4.5 pounds. It has a custom heat pipe thermal system to keep the device cool during gaming or content creation, and when I was playing Destiny 2, the laptop stayed very cool under a constant workload. The 15.6-inch screen is beautiful and it's crisp. It is a full HD at 60 Hz and 100% sRGB colors, and every display is custom calibrated at the factory. The bezels are super thin at 4.9mm, but they still manage to keep that webcam up top, which I appreciate. The Razer Blade 15 features an NVIDIA GeForce GTX 1060 GPU with Max-Q design, an 8th gen Intel Core i7 CPU, and 16 gigs of upgradable RAM. The laptop starts with a 128 gig solid-state storage and a 1 terabyte hard drive, plus all of the ports that you would need, including full HDMI 2.0, a mini DisplayPort 1.4, USB-C Thunderbolt 3, gigabit Ethernet, 3 USB 3.1 ports, and a headphone jack. The advanced model of the Razer Blade 15 gives users the option to step up to 144 Hz refresh rates, or a 4K touch display, NVIDIA GeForce GTX 1070 Max-Q design graphics, and a thinner 16.8mm design. Razer also just announced a limited edition Mercury White model, which looks really great paired with their existing line of Mercury White peripherals. I gamed on the Razer Blade 15 base model for several hours to test out the specs, and I found that my gameplay looked awesome on the display, but it was also comfortable to use the keyboard and the touchpad. While the full-size arrow keys are shifted from a position that I'm used to, it did not take long to get accustomed to the new layout and hit my regular typing speeds. The glass touchpad with integrated click buttons is incredibly smooth to the touch, and it's big. The upward-facing speakers are also quite loud and clear, and the power button is again hidden within that right-hand side speaker, which gives the laptop a much cleaner look. The new Razer Blade 15 is available now, and it starts at $15.99. I'm Shannon Morse. Thanks for watching.
Dell's spring PC lineup is focused on all-in-one machines, as well as a refresh of its Inspiron gaming laptops, now known as the Dell G Series. The company's latest batch of all-in-ones might be compelling enough to tempt away people who are used to traditional desktop and monitor setup. The new Inspiron 24-5000 all-in-one features a 23.8-inch 1080p screen, while the Inspiron 27-7000 has 1080p and 4K options for its 27-inch display. The latter model also features HDR support on its higher-end screens, but it's not nearly as bright as an HDR TV. Both computers build on Dell's XPS laptop aesthetic, with simple lines, metallic cases, and near bezel-less screens. They're powered by 8th generation Intel Core processors, as you'd expect, and up to 32GB of RAM. You can also upgrade their graphics with NVIDIA GTX 1050 GPUs, which is powerful enough to play most modern games in 1080p. The new all-in-ones also feature pop-up webcams, which can be hidden for privacy easily. That's a far better solution than putting the cameras below the displays, like with Dell's last models. You can snag the Inspiron 24-5000 all-in-one today, starting at $850, while the 27-7000 will run you at least $1,000 when it launches in late May. As for the new Dell G family, they're an evolution of the popular Inspiron 7000 gaming series, which packed in a decent amount of power at a relatively low cost. The G branding just differentiates these new machines from the rest of the company's mainstream lineup. They're not exactly flashy, yet they're sharp enough to distinguish themselves from a standard Inspiron. The Dell G3 15 and 17 are its entry-level 15-inch and 17-inch models, featuring 8th gen Intel processors and NVIDIA's GTX 1060 Max-Q GPU. They're limited to 1080p screens, but they also have the advantage of being the slimmest of the new lineup. If you're looking for a bit more power, there's the G5 15, which supports up to quad and 6-core Intel i7 processors. Rounding things out is the G7 15, which fits in Intel's new Core i9 quad-core and 6-core CPUs. It's one of the first laptops to support that processor, and it should be a compelling option for gamers who plan to stream and edit media. while both the G5 and G7 are also powered by NVIDIA's GTX 1060 Max-Q GPU, they have more elaborate cooling than the lower-end models. That should be helpful for lengthy gaming sessions. You don't want your machine overheating in the middle of a Twitch stream, after all. You can also opt for 4K displays on the G5 and G7, and they feature HDMI 2.0 for putting that 4K feed on a bigger screen. Just like Dell's last budget gaming laptop, these new models won't break the bank. The G3 15 starts at $749, while the G3 17 and G5 will go for $799. The higher-end G7 15 is just a bit more at $849. Dell hasn't forgotten about its Alienware series either. The new Alienware 15 and 17 can be configured with Core i9 K-series CPUs, which are unlocked for overclocking. And as you'd expect, you can opt for the most powerful graphics options around, like an overclocked NVIDIA GTX 1080 GPU. They also come in 1080p and 4K options, and you can also spring for NVIDIA's G-Sync technology, which smooths out gameplay. The Alienware 15 starts at $1,400, while the 17 goes for $1,550. All of the gaming machines are available today, but more configurations are coming on April 16th. While there's no real standout, these announcements show that Dell's doubling down on increasingly popular markets. All-in-ones are more compelling now, since desktops are all but dead. And with the rise of more powerful but portable hardware, gaming laptops have never been more tempting.
On the laptop, we find USB 3.2 Type-A and Type-C, killer network Ethernet and SD card reader, HDMI and mini DisplayPort, as well as AMP Plus Gold audio jacks, complemented by powerful giant speakers. The GL73 features a multi-touch touchpad alongside a SteelSeries per-key RGB keyboard with lighting control provided through the SteelSeries Engine app. Hardware configurations include up to an Intel Core i7 9750H processor and up to an NVIDIA GeForce GTX 1660 Ti GPU for strong gaming performance. Cooler boost technology is also provided to keep temperatures down. The laptop features a 17.3-inch Full HD 1080p IPS level display capable of 144Hz refresh rate and 3 millisecond response time. The GL73 weighs in at less than 6 pounds and has dimensions of 16.5 inches in width, about 11.3 inches in depth, and 1¼ inches in height when the lid is closed. Experience untethered gaming power with the GL73 laptop.
So today we're looking at a brand new gaming laptop, the Asus ROG Zephyrus S GX701. Outside of the obviously very confusing name, this is not just your ordinary gaming laptop. This is the first laptop that we're getting to check out ourselves that has these new RTX mobile graphics inside. So let's see if this laptop can push gaming laptops to a whole new level in terms of performance. So on the surface, this just looks like a pretty standard 17-inch gaming laptop. But when you open it, you see just how different this is from pretty much any other laptop you've ever used, especially if you haven't seen this design before. Essentially, the keyboard and the touchpad have been moved all the way down to the bottom of the keyboard deck, leaving this big open space that we like to call the awkward Zephyrus forehead. And it doesn't have anything in it. It doesn't have a speaker in it or anything. It's just a spot for air to pass through. And just right off the bat, looking at this design and actually using it, there's some pretty obvious reasons why this isn't a great design. In fact, I've got 5. So number 1, it's terrible for left-handers, so good luck, lefties. Number 2, because the touchpad and the keyboard sit side by side, the keyboard layout is kind of cramped, especially with these tiny little arrow keys down here. Number 3, it's uncomfortable to use for long periods of time because there's nowhere to put your wrists. Number 4, you can't really use it on your lap as a laptop without looking like an idiot. And number 5, it doesn't have a true number pad, which on a 17-inch gaming laptop, you kind of would actually want and it would actually use. The little digital number pad that you get here really just doesn't replace that. So in what world does this design actually make sense? Well, it makes sense if you're trying to cool some really powerful components and squeeze it into a very thin and light chassis. And that's exactly what the Zephyrus S is doing. It has an RTX 2080 Max-Q graphics card on the inside, and it also has a 6-core overclockable Intel processor. So very hot, very powerful components, and this thing is pretty thin and light. To keep things thin while you're actually carrying this laptop around, Asus included a little pop-out vent beneath the laptop that again gives additional airflow for the cooling of these components. The secondary function of this design is to keep your hands away from those hot surfaces. It's pretty ingenious the way this works actually, and it's an issue that's solved on this laptop that pretty much every other gaming laptop has to deal with. So with improved thermals, you can expect improved game performance, and on the Zephyrus S, that is totally true. This is an awesome laptop to game on. The 17-inch screen checks all the boxes for gaming. It's 1080p matte, has a 144 Hz high refresh panel, and it supports G-Sync. It even has decent color accuracy and contrast. The best part is that the RTX GPU inside can actually support this super fast display. It's no sweat getting over 100 frames per second in games like Fortnite and Battlefield 5 on Ultra. And man, the combination of that high refresh and support for G-Sync make for some really amazing smooth gameplay. Even in Civilization 6, we were getting over 60 frames per second, while tougher games like Assassin's Creed Odyssey or Deus Ex were still totally playable at max settings, just not up to 60 frames per second. I don't want to downplay this because it is pretty mind-blowing that you can get this kind of performance in a laptop, let alone a laptop this thin and light. This isn't the thinnest gaming laptop we're seeing coming out this year. That probably goes to the MSI GS75, which is another 17-inch laptop. But what the Zephyrus S does is put performance that we typically would have only seen in really thick gaming laptops like the Alienware 17 or one of the Predator laptops. It takes that and actually recreates it in a laptop that is really thin and light, and that's really impressive. So it's a performer. It's a really great gaming machine. But that's not the end of the story. There's a few other weird things that we just have to point out about it. The first thing that's missing here is a webcam. It doesn't have one at all. They've trimmed the bezels around the display, which is, again, really nice. And we're seeing that in pretty much any laptop that you can buy in 2019. But rather than trying to squeeze it into the top or maybe even at the bottom, this one just doesn't have one. They just removed it completely and said, you're gonna have to buy an external camera if you want to use one. Which I guess that's fine for people who want to use this primarily just as a gaming laptop. But for everyone else that might need one once in a while, that's kind of annoying. Another thing that's missing has to do with the ports. You have kind of the things you'd expect like HDMI, USB-A, USB-C, but what's missing is an Ethernet jack, which is something a lot of gamers are looking for. So you can hardwire without having to use a dongle. And then it also doesn't have Thunderbolt 3 support, which was kind of surprising to see on a premium gaming laptop like this. And another thing this is missing is any kind of Windows Hello support. It doesn't come standard in gaming laptops a lot of times, but I really wish we could have seen a fingerprint reader. Again, we don't have a webcam at all, so you can't have a facial recognition thing for Windows Hello, but you got nothing at all here, so you're gonna have to rely on passwords and pins. So there's a lot of things missing here, but I gotta mention one other thing, and that's the battery life. So this is a G-Sync laptop, meaning it gets horrible battery life, and that's kind of what we'd expect. We're talking like hour and a half for basic web browsing or video. It's really bad. What Asus does on this laptop though, apparently, is bring support for both G-Sync and Optimus, which usually you can only have one or the other. You know, one will get you that tear-free gaming experience, and the other will give you better battery life. And on this laptop, apparently you can switch between these two fairly easily. So we're hoping that this Optimus mode should give you at least a couple extra hours of battery life, which still honestly isn't great, but it'll at least bring it up to the point where it can actually be unplugged and used for a little bit. So is this very expensive gaming laptop worth the money? Should it be your next gaming laptop purchase? And the answer is maybe. I mean, it's a really good gaming laptop. I mean, it even has even room for expansion, and you can put extra storage and extra RAM in it. You can go up to 24 gigabytes. And the graphics performance here is just really impressive, and the way the thermal system works is really impressive. So if you're looking for something that's just a gaming laptop, this actually does it really well. The problem for me is just the whole experience of the product in general. It doesn't make a lot of sense to me. Asus has gone through all this work to squeeze all this performance into a really thin and light chassis, but I can't put this thing in my backpack. I mean, it's 17 inches. I mean, I can't bring this to a coffee shop. It has no battery life. I can't bring it to work. It looks like this, you know, and like if I spend a lot of time typing on this, I'm gonna get a wrist strain. So I think there are some problems with this design and the whole idea of this product, because I think for most people, you're gonna want something that's a little bit sleeker, that works as a gaming laptop and as a normal laptop in your normal day life, or you want something that's just straight up power, and there are some great options for that as well, and it doesn't have these same concessions and compromises that this thing does. So depending on what you're looking for in a gaming laptop, I think you're gonna find a better option in one of those two camps that fits more what you're looking for and is honestly a better value for what you're getting.